Hello everyone, good evening. I'm Steve from UCAN English Tutoring. In this video, I'm going to assess one of my students' OET letter and provide the word-by-word correction plus the feedback against each criteria before I disclose the expected score for this letter. I will also analyze the case notes so that you will get to know exactly what kinds of case notes are going to be included in the letter and what should be excluded. All right, let's jump onto this straight away. So you are a nurse in the cardiac ward of a large general hospital, and this is the patient's name, Bertha Stephenson. All right, that's the patient, and the patient has undergone open heart surgery. So it's an open heart surgery patient slash chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and anxiety. All right, that these are the basic things about the patient. Let's read the case notes below and complete the writing task which follows. So the patient's name is Bertha Stephenson, as I've already mentioned. That is 72 years old. She is a married woman. Okay, so it's going to be Miss Bertha Stephenson, and the date of birth is 1938. We don't know the date of birth, it's only the year of birth. Anyway, so that shouldn't be an issue, because when we get the date of birth as well as the age, we can utilize the age alone. We don't need to write down the date of birth in the letter. Let's read the social history. She lives at home with husband George. The couple have been married 50 years. George is a decorated soldier who fought in World War II. George attends RSL, that is Returned Soldiers League meetings, and enjoys the camaraderie. All right. Right. Let's go to the medical history. Has suffered COVID for past 10 years. Heavy smoker, 1 packet a day, trying to quit. Angina for 3 years. Angiogram revealed need for heart bypass. Family history: George also smoked for 40 years but gave it away in 2004. Bertha's mother was overweight with high BP. Bertha's mother died of myocardial infarction at age 75. That is 25 years ago. Okay, let's go through the admission. So 10 days ago, patient was admitted for a double bypass. All went well, has been recuperating. Okay, that's good. All right, this is the treatment. 2 heart valves bypassed, operation successful, has been using an oxygen concentrator to be issued with a rented portable oxygen concentrator on discharge, prescribed Lipitor oral using Ventolin when required, a taught postural drainage position and pursed lip breathing technique, advised to quit smoking, prescribed Nicobat patches, to be discharged tomorrow. So look at this one. This is the discharge date. So she's going to be discharged tomorrow. Current problem is anxiety. Not sure how she is going to cope once discharged from hospital. Worried she will die like her mother. Visibly distressed, has outbursts of crying. So the discharge plan is going to refer to a community nurse for monitoring. And this is the writing task. You need to write a letter to your community nurse, Greenlia Council, Fentrin Gully 3175. Outline the treatment this patient has had to date. Request that the community nurse monitor Bertha Stephenson regarding the cessation of smoking or using Nicobat. Community nurse to make sure Bertha is using her portable oxygen machine correctly. Community nurse to make an appointment with the council social worker to visit Bertha and counsel her regarding any worries she may have about managing things in the home. Bertha may need some counsel home help for housekeeping and other day-to-day living activities. Your letter should be 200 to 220 words long, no more than 25 lines. So this instruction is an old one, so you can still write down more than 25 lines, but the number of words should be between 108 80 and 200 words. Okay, you can go up to 220 words on condition that you have got all the case notes only which are relevant in the letter, and you have already tried a lot to shorten them up, but still they go until, let's say, 220 words. In that case, it is absolutely acceptable, but it shouldn't go beyond 220 words. Do not use note form, but write in full sentences using relevant information. So you need to understand that we should never ever use the note form in our letter. We have to write down everything in the expanded formats only, which includes the DOB as well. So never ever write down DOB, because it is one of the conditions that you should not write down the note form, and DOB is a note form. I have been telling this so many times to everyone that you will be able to avoid this and write a letter in a more effective and a more formal manner. Okay, let's jump on to the letter that has been written down by the student, and then we will start assessing it. Okay, so he has written down the community nurse on the top. When you write down the designation of the recipient alone, we have to start with the. So look at this one. They mentioned the community nurse, isn't it? So we have to write down the community nurse instead of just the community nurse. I hope you understand what I say. So you have to use the community nurse to make it more formal. It is always important that we score as much as possible under each assessment criteria. Writing down the formal phrases is one of the assessment criteria as well. Let's jump on to the next one. He has written on Green Leah Council. That is absolutely fine because that's what they have written on here, isn't it? So Green Leah Council, when we have to write down the addressees details, we need to ensure that we simply copy and paste the spelling of the addressees section. I mean, you have to copy the spelling from here. Green Leah Council. If you commit any spelling mistakes here, that will be counted as a mistake, and that's not good. All right. So the recipient may feel that you are very careless in terms of writing down the addressee's contact details. So this then Fentree Gully, that's good. 3175. I hope all these details are accurate, which is good enough. So he was able to copy all these details correctly. One of the issues he has committed is that he didn't use the article before the designation of the addressee or the recipient. Okay. Let's go to the next one. He wrote 16 April 2023, which is going to be the date of writing down this letter. Let's go back. Okay, they didn't mention anything about the date here so far, isn't it? So what we can do is, usually when they didn't give any date, anything about it, then you can write down the date of writing this letter. Okay, so that is absolutely fine for me. I'm quite happy with this. And then dear nurse, that's good. So you need to start with the designation. Remember that dear sir or madam is no longer an acceptable phrase. It's better to use the designation of the recipient if the recipient's name is not given. So first priority is to write down the recipient's surname. I mean, dear, and then you have to place the prefix and then the surname of the recipient. However, if the recipient's name is not given, but only they have given the designation, you just need to write down the designation. You can write either dear community nurse or dear nurse. Both of them are quite good. All right. Let's continue with the next one. The reference details of the patient regarding Mrs. Bertha Stephenson, date of birth 1938. Okay, unfortunately, they have mentioned only the year, so it is absolutely fine. If there is no much space here on this line, it's better to write down in the next line. It is absolutely fine. Okay, we need to ensure that we write the letter in an effective manner and it is readable. It needs to be neat and tidy. Your handwriting doesn't matter too much as long as the readers are able to understand the information in your letter. Let us jump on to the introduction paragraph now. I am writing this letter to refer Mrs. Stephenson, who has been operated for double bypass surgery. Okay, unfortunately, although the handwriting doesn't matter, at least the letters which we would like to convey should be appropriate, and it should be viewed as the same way by the recipients as well. But when I see this word, for example, double, it starts like E and then L and then O and then U and then BLE. So I feel it is like yellow bell. Okay, that's what I read. So it is not how you would like to write, it is how it is going to be viewed by the recipient. So this is really, really important. And I cannot stress enough on the importance of writing down clear letters, okay, when you do so. All right. So unfortunately, it is yellow bell. That's what I can say. So it should be written down correctly. It should be double. All right. Please ensure that you write down the letters appropriately. Your handwriting doesn't need to be beautiful, but it must be readable. I hope you guys understand the difference between readable and beautiful. All right, let's continue. And the other issue is that you need to be a bit careful about one thing, one important thing as far as the OET writing is concerned. You will be really surprised to hear this. There would be several spelling mistakes in the case notes. I mean, in the actual question paper that you're going to receive, you may expect several spelling mistakes, and one of them is bypass. Bypass is one word only, isn't it? If you go and check Google, you will be able to find out that it has got only one word. So when you go through here in the case notes, they might have intentionally given it as two words, isn't it? I'll show you where they have committed this mistake. See this one, bypass, double bypass. So they have written down intentionally with the incorrect spelling because they want you to correct it and then write that down appropriately in your letter. They don't want you to copy and paste. Remember one thing, that your OET letter is going to get B grade only when you start interpreting the information yourself and provide the information in your own words. There may be lots of mistakes, including the grammatical errors, spelling mistakes, punctuation errors, use of articles, prepositions, and so on. However, as a registered healthcare professional, your task is to correct all those things when you write down your letter. So please ensure that your letter is free from all those kinds of errors. Let's continue on this. So bypass has got one word only. It doesn't have two words. Okay, so bypass is going to be one word only. Let's continue with the next one. Okay, double bypass surgery, that's okay. She requires further care and management from your service following her discharge today. Okay, you don't need to place a comma here, and service is okay. It is grammatically accurate. However, in terms of vocabulary, it is better to use facility rather than service. Okay, so the first thing is you should avoid the use of service. You have to replace it with the facility. And the second thing is you have to remove the comma, because comma is not required here. I hope you understand what I say. Let's continue with the next one. Okay, so she requires further care and management from your facility following her discharge today. Perfect. So this introduction paragraph is amazing because you were able to include all the assessment criteria in this introduction paragraph. However, there are few mistakes as I have stated until now. Let's jump on to the next paragraph. Mrs. Stephenson lives with her husband in their own house. Although she smokes one packet, what? One packet of what? One packet of cigarette. You can't write one packet. Although she smokes is okay, but it doesn't mean that she is going to smoke one packet of cigarettes. You have to expand it. You have to write down appropriately. Although she smokes one packet of cigarette. One packet of cigarettes. Okay, sorry, cigarettes. That's what you have to do. All right, let's continue. Okay, per day, but trying to quit it and is suffering from COAD for past. Okay, one of the major issues many students commit is that they do use both the phrase although or though or even though as well as but or however in the same sentence. Remember one thing, that although and but are the synonyms, which means you have to use either of them and not together. Okay, so what mistakes you have committed here is, this is absolutely wrong. You can't write but. Okay, I will also give you a list of other mistakes as well in this sentence. So although she smokes one packet of cigarettes per day, comma, she is trying to quit it. That's what you have to write. Okay, right, let's say you have written down one packet of cigarettes. Let's say cigarettes. You should write this, okay, right after one packet. All right, but you have mentioned but, isn't it? So you wrote, sorry, you wrote but, and then is trying to quit it. Let's say the problem here is that we have to use a comma after the first part of the sentence. I mean, we have to say, although she smokes one packet of cigarettes, comma, she tries to quit it. She tries to quit it, and you need to put a full stop. Why? When you try to write down really longer sentences, you may lose control on grammar, vocabulary, as well as sentence structures. And it is not good for us. Remember one thing, that we shouldn't expose our mistakes quite easily to the examiners, because they will have reasons to reduce your marks. And I never want this happens, please. As a result, what you should do is you can put a full stop after it and then remove this end and start writing a new sentence of that after this. I mean, you can say, instead of saying and is suffering, you can say she is suffering from. Okay, that's going to be more appropriate. Let's say so. All right. So what do you have to do? And is suffering from. All right. There are a couple of other things as well that I would like to highlight here. Let's say it is better to use, and is experiencing, because experiencing is more formal than suffering from. So you can start a new sentence and then you can say she is experiencing. This is more appropriate than suffering from. Remember one thing, that we are writing down a formal letter, so we need to use as many formal phrases and polite words as possible in order to request the recipient to provide better care. All right, let's continue from here. So instead of writing down COAD, I would strongly recommend you to expand them, because every abbreviation, every short form, every medical acronyms should be expanded. So instead of saying COAD, you have to expand this, please. So expand the abbreviation, please. All right. Otherwise, your letter looks more informal, which is not good for us, right? Okay, let's continue. And there's one more thing. Okay, far past. If you write these two words together without any much space, look at the space that you have given between from and COAD and COAD and far. But there's no much space between far and past, isn't it? One of the important assessment parameter is that you give good spacing between two words. You have to do it. And you have to say for the past. It's not just far past, okay? So you have to say for the past, whatever it is, okay, for the past 10 years or 12 years or whatever it is, okay? So you wrote it well, that's good. Mrs. Stephenson's angiogram was performed, which revealed need for heart bypass, okay? Right. So Mrs. Stephenson's angiogram was performed, which revealed the need. You should use the need, which revealed the need. All right. You shouldn't say need, but it should be which revealed the need for heart bypass. Okay, that's all right. You can say which revealed the need for heart operation, something like that. Yeah, that's okay. Let's continue. You have started saying later days, isn't it? I hope you know this is not good. Later days, no. She underwent bypass surgery. It is the same thing, right? So she went through this bypass surgery already. So you don't need to say later days. You can simply say later days can be replaced with the subsequently, isn't it? And the other issue is that later days is incorrect. I mean, there is no word with this spelling. You can't write down LATERDAYS as one word. It is incorrect. There is no word like this in English. All right. So again, bypass should be written down as one word only. So please understand this. All right. So you wrote bypass, and this was intentional. You may be shocked to see this, but it happens. It is usual in OET examination. All right, let's continue. So today it's 10 days for surgery, and currently she is doing well with oxygen. Today it's 10 days. Okay. In this case, you didn't write down the information properly. Okay, so you can say today it's 10 days for surgery and currently she is doing well with oxygen. I think you would like to say that it has been more than 10 days now since she has undergone surgery, isn't it? So you can say today is the 10th post-operative day, or you can say post-operatively she's progressing well with the oxygen support. That is more than enough, because this one doesn't make much difference to this meaning, isn't it? The first part, that is today it's 10 days for surgery and currently she is doing well with oxygen. The second part is good. You can write it down. So you can say, for example, currently So you can write down currently, and the other issue is that after currently you need to place a comma as well. After today you need to place a comma as well anyway. So the problem is that the existing sentence itself has got lots of mistakes. So you can't write it's 10 days. You should write down it and then space and then is 10 days. Okay. So today it's 10 days for surgery. All right. Let's write it down. Today it's 10 days for surgery. All right. Unfortunately, you need to remove this whole phrase because it's not good, isn't it? So, but I'll tell you how you can do it. Okay. So today, 10 days, 10 days have been gone. All right. You can write 10 days have been gone post-operatively, or you can say today is the 10th post-operative day. Today is the 10th post-operative day. So that is also good enough. I mean, you can write whatever you want, but you need to ensure that it is grammatically correct and it is more formal. Okay, so that's what you got to do. And then instead of writing down surgery and what you can do is you can start with a new sentence. You can say currently, she has been progressing well. Okay, that's what you can do. All right, let's continue here. So she is doing well with oxygen. Okay, it's better to say she is progressing well with oxygen rather than doing well. Although doing well is appropriate from the grammatical perspective, it's not good, from the vocabulary point of view, because it is an informal phrase. It's better to use progressing well rather than doing well. Okay, let's continue with the next one. Post-operatively is one word with a hyphen in between. So you can't write two words like this. This is not good. This is definitely not good. You cannot split one word into two, or you can't merge two words as one word. You can't do both of them because both of them are going to damage your score. You can't say post-operatively with one word only. You have to write like this, post-operatively, comma, all right, with the hyphen in between. So it's going to be only one word. Please understand all these things. You cannot commit these kinds of mistakes once again. Okay. So she was administered, you can say oxygen was administered for her. Okay. Rather than saying she was administered oxygen. Okay. So she was administered oxygen. Okay. Let's go through this. She was administered oxygen. So it's better to write down post-operatively, comma, oxygen was administered. Right? This is more formal. You can use the passive voice in order to get the higher score as far as the writing is concerned. All right, and advised to use portable oxygen concentrator post discharge. Okay, and advised, and she was advised. Okay, and advised, instead of that you should say and she was advised. Okay, so that is more appropriate, and she was advised. All right. Okay, let's continue with the next one. Okay, what's the next one? Let's see. All right, she was advised to use portable oxygen concentrator post discharge. That's good. Doctor has been commenced her on tablet. So instead of saying like this, you can say she has been commenced on. That's more than enough. You don't need to say doctor has been commenced her on. You don't need to say, you don't need to add words unnecessarily. Adding more and more words is not going to be helpful for you. You need to write down a short and sweet OET letter which fulfills all the assessment criteria, instead of the one which is really long and it conveys the same information again and again and again. Okay, that's not good. So you can say she has been commenced on. So you could have reduced at least one or two words if you write like this. Okay, which is good for you. All right. So she has been commenced on tablet Lipitor orally and Ventolin. It's not Ventolin, but Ventolin. Unfortunately, you should not commit any spelling mistakes with the medication, isn't it? This is very bad. Why it is very bad? Because you just need to copy and paste the spelling from the case notes, from the question paper, isn't it? You're not going to do anything too much, right? If you rephrase the words, that's a different story. But when you have to copy and paste the medications, inhalers, and all the prescription, pills and things like that, that's going to be pretty easy, right? You just need to copy and paste, and you shouldn't commit any mistakes over there. Along with that, she has been taught some of the postural drainage positions. She has been taught, okay, that's all right. She has been, it's not taught, but it's taught. Okay. All right. She has been taught. Okay. So you're saying she has been taught. You should add regarding as well in this one. Okay. Otherwise, this one doesn't make sense. All right. Let's continue. Okay. What would be the next one? All right, some of the postural drainage positions, that's good, but try to give good spacing between drainage and positions. And pursed lip breathing techniques. Unfortunately, you have copied almost all the words, from the questions. You could have mentioned something else, okay? Advised to use. You started writing down a sentence with the verb, but a sentence can never start with a verb. This is absolutely incorrect. You can't say advised to use, Nicobat patches to quit smoking. Okay, that's not good. All right. So advised to use, this is not good because you started using it in the beginning of a sentence. You can write like this. She was also advised. Okay, she was also advised to use nicotine patches. Okay, for example. All right. Okay, so you have committed so many mistakes and it is ongoing. Anyway, let's continue with the next paragraph. It would be greatly appreciated if you could monitor correct usage of oxygen um, uh, by the patient, and as well as, so you don't need to place a comma here. You don't need to do this. Okay, right. So patient, comma, as well as comma. Okay, 1 second. So you shouldn't write patient, comma, as well as comma. Okay, you have to remove both of these commas. Okay, so you should say patient as well as without any comma. You can't use any commas. Okay, all right, let's continue. As well as using Nicobat patches. Okay, correct uses. Okay, as well as using use of nicotine patches. So it's better to say use of nicotine, sorry, Nicobat patches. It shouldn't be patch, but okay, let's say using Nicobat patch. He's not going to use only one patch, right? So it's better to use use of Nicobat patches. Sorry, second. Okay, Nicobat patches. All right. Let's continue with the next one. All right, very. Okay, yeah. She's also worried about dying from heart attack problem like her mother. Okay, you don't need to use problem. You can simply say she is also worried about dying from heart attack like her mother. Okay, you don't need to use problem over there. So instead of writing down attack problem, it's better to say attack. That's it. So don't write problem over there. That's not required. All right, let's continue. So please arrange a social worker and housekeeping staff to assist her in day-to-day work. Okay, so please. Okay, unfortunately, so is no longer an acceptable connecting phrase. It is better to use as a result, which is more polite and formal. So you can use this one in order to ensure that you get the information appropriately. All right, let's continue. What's the next mistake? So to assist her in day-to-day work, remember one thing, that in the actual OET writing question paper, there will be lots of mistakes. And one of them is day-to-day. Day-to-day actually has got an hyphen between day and to, and then another hyphen between to and day. Is this clear with everyone? Which means in the question paper, you would have never seen this spelling, the one that I have written on the right hand side. It is intentional. It happens. Okay. So The case notes are the ones which were written by the nurses when they have made the notes. That's it. So you shouldn't be worried about that. Okay, you should always think about the correct spelling yourself, and you need to treat the OET writing question paper only the information guide. All right. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Yours sincerely, Nurse. Okay, so that's fine. I'm okay with that. But unfortunately, you have already committed so many mistakes, isn't it? And these things can definitely damage your score, and it's not definitely good for you. One of the problem you have been doing is grammar is not up to the mark. You have committed so many grammatical mistakes. For example, use of articles, prepositions, nouns, verbs, and sentence structures is not correct. That's absolutely not good. Layout and presentation could have been much better. Could have been much better. Another problem is that your overall task fulfillment isn't good. Unfortunately, you have written on so many words. I mean, more words than the required number of words. It's better to summarize everything rather than expand too much. Okay, that's not going to help. Vocabulary is again another area of improvement. Why it is so? Because you have repeated the same words. You should use a variety of synonyms of the words from the case notes. You shouldn't write down the same words. That's another problem. Connectivity is not up to the mark as well. The reason is that you are using the inappropriate connecting phrases, the ones which are not formal. All right, that's not good. And the other issues are um, you have to give good spacing between two words, as well as two sections of the letter throughout. Okay, so that's another issue. Spelling is another problem that is going to be another weak area. You have to definitely work out on this. You can't commit the spelling mistakes. That's not really good. Your handwriting should be improved. Handwriting should be improved as well. You need to ensure that you write down the letter in such a way that the letters are visible and are readable by the OET examiners, because your letter will be assessed by two people, and as a result it's really important that you use the spelling correctly as well as write down the letters appropriately. Some sentences do not have anything such as the nouns and so on, and there are words which need to be expanded. Never ever commit any issues in relation to the abbreviations. Okay, all kinds of abbreviations, medical acronyms, and short forms should be expanded in the letter. But unfortunately, you haven't done this. Okay, so you should understand this. Okay, never write too many words. Try to summarize the information rather than instead of expanding them too much. Okay, so I'm not quite happy with the way that you have written down this letter, but I'm pretty sure if you can address at least some of these assessment criterias, you should be able to get your desired scores. At least you can see improvement in terms of the score. Unfortunately, with these many mistakes, I'm not happy with the even to provide C grade for this letter. For me, this sounds like perhaps 200 out of 500. I wish you all the very best for your next OET letter. And I'm pretty sure if you can address some of these mistakes, you will be able to improve your score. You need to focus on these mistakes and document them before you can write down the next letter. I'm pretty sure that you should be able to improve your score in the next letter. Thank you so much.